It's the crackhead issue. I'm sorry, that's what I call it. Whenever I see it on the stands, I call it, that's the crackhead issue. What up? Welcome to Comic Books and Chill, the home of the Six Slayers. I'm Mike, chilling with Chris.
What's up, everyone?
And before we get started, we just want to ask all you guys in YouTube land to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and please comment. Right, Chris?
Yes, pretty please.
Our second guest of our interview series called The Talking Box is writer, producer, and creator of the hit comic book series Killadelphia, Rodney Barnes.
Woo!
We interviewed Rodney a couple weeks ago before the announcement of the pilot of Killadelphia, so I feel like we got some extra juice there.
Right, some things have developed recently.
Well, Chris, what was your favorite part of the interview? Just to give him a little tease, what was your favorite part of the interview?
Honestly, knowing that he's been a lifelong comic book fan and really just someone that enjoys the horror and movie aspect of things, I don't know, I really felt like while he was talking to us, he was just talking to friends, and it felt casual, and I had a fantastic time.
I gotta echo that, man. I felt that he was so chill and laid back, and we were talking to kindred spirits, being big comic book fans.
Right.
And so I really like that. So please stay tuned for the Talking Box. That's later on in the show. But Chris, because we are the Stash Bros, what was your favorite pickup? What was your favorite new addition to your stash?
Ooh, and I got a big one. One that I just picked up about a week and a half ago. So everyone knows that the Ninja Turtles have extreme hype. We just did the last Ronin episode that's about to come out soon, and ultimately they're talking about another movie coming, and really the Ninja Turtles are just growing because now there's 5 members of the team. There's a lady Ninja Turtle now, so you know what, I've got behind the hype, and I've previously had Ninja Turtles #1 third print. I sold it in my 20s like a dummy, but you know what, I have to jump back on board, and I recently picked up the 4th print, the wraparound cover. That's the first cover appearance of Shredder, and it's actually the first time we've seen the Turtles in color. So that's my pickup of the last few months that I'm most proud of.
Man, that's a hot pickup, man. I mean, it's all over YouTube right now, bubbling and boiling, getting all hot. I mean, I love that wraparound cover, the first cover appearance of the Shredder, and so yeah, that's dope. And we don't like to kiss and tell, Chris, but did you get a good deal on it, though?
I got it definitely for a great deal, about half of what it's going for.
I love that. And that's what we're all about here, trying to be crafty, man. We can't just throw our wallets away at books all the time. I mean, if we love it, if you're in love with the book, fine, but try to get a good deal out there, Stash fam. I gotta go with, not as a big key as Ninja Turtles #1 4th print wraparound cover featuring the Shredder. I mean, I don't have that on deck. I mean, I can't even compete. But every now and then, books don't need to be key all the time. Sometimes what really catches your eye when you're thumbing through those short boxes, and we were out in Burbank, a House of Secrets, me and a friend, and I was thumbing through stuff, and I came across Batman 230. Now, as you know, Chris, huge Batman fan over here, Captain Obvious, right? But also, I'm a huge fan of Neil Adams. I love Neil Adams' work. I think he's the quintessential Batman artist. I know that lately with fans, they give that title to Jim Lee, for example, right? Jim Lee has that, but I think Neil Adams, and I don't even think Jim Lee would disagree with this, Neil Adams is the OG Batman artist. And Batman 230, what I really love about this cover, it's kind of like a pseudo Black Panther type cover. And it really echoes kind of like what's going on today, and a lot of civil unrest amongst the African American community and just American society. And so when I saw this, I'm like, man, that part really got to me about what's going on today. But I delved even deeper about this, and I thought about all the different things, all the different covers that Neil Adams was a part of. I mean, I think not only is he the quintessential Batman artist, I think he's the quintessential cover artist. Now, that could be a hot take to some people, but when I'm talking about social commentary, when I'm talking about putting superheroes in different lifelike situations, I don't think there's anyone that has a prolific resume to the level of Neil Adams. I mean, I call it the crackhead issue, the one where Speedy
Yep.
has the the syringe in him, and Green Arrow's like, my ward's on crack or whatever. I mean, it's not crack. Crack was not out in the 70s, but I'm just saying, it's the crackhead issue. So that's what I call it. Whenever I see it on the stands, I call it, that's the crackhead issue. Speedy, he was a crackhead. Neil Adams and Denny O'Neil, they both address a lot of social issues, whether it's poverty, politics, anything under the rainbow. If it's human, I think Neil Adams drew it. And not only that, he drew my favorite cover of all time, which is Superman versus Muhammad Ali. Right. That's one of my favorite covers of all time. So Neil Adams to me is the supreme when it comes to extracting human themes and putting them on a cover of a comic book. And so I had to go with Batman 230.
Honestly, now that you dive into it further and explain it, I have to agree with you about Neil. His covers have so much significance beyond just being comic art, and they resonate years after. And
years
I think
after.
fantastic.
Like, here we are. This book, I think, was 1970 or 1971, and here we are in 2020 dealing with some similar issues that was going on back, 50 years ago. And so, Neil Adams, I salute you. Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman, we salute you, because you guys' work has added to our stash. And so, thank you for that. But without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to get into this great, awesome, super stupendous interview featuring Rodney Barnes. This is Comic Books and Chill. Our next guest here, our second guest on the Stash Bros Comic Books and Chill, is one of our favorite comic book creators. Not only is he the creator of the hit comic series Killadelphia, he has written some of our favorite TV shows like The Boondocks, wow, Marvel's Runaway, and Wu-Tang, American Saga. Stash fam, please welcome Rodney Barnes.
Thank you for having me.
I just wanted to start off with the Boondocks, because that was a big shock. I did not know that you were involved with the Boondocks. That's one of my favorite shows of all time. It's one of those keep it real type of shows, Well, so here's my question. Did you write any episodes featuring Uncle Ruckus?
I did.
Oh, and so can you just, we're going to show some graphics of Uncle Ruckus and all that, but if you could just tell the audience, what do you feel Uncle Ruckus's function is on the show?
I always felt like Uncle Ruckus was the pathology of what racism did to us. It's like at a certain point, I won't say any politician's name, but sometimes you see politicians who don't necessarily have African American culture in their best interests, but somehow they have a strong black following or black followers. And when you hear them talk, they sound kind of like Uncle Ruckus sometimes, where you wonder, how could this person support that person when it's obvious that person doesn't have your best interests at heart? And I think sometimes racism seeps into us and drives us crazy. And that's what I always saw Uncle Ruckus as being.
I think Uncle Ruckus is hilarious. I mean, there's so many quotes. It's too inappropriate, too real for this particular program. But I love Uncle Ruckus. So moving on to Wu-Tang American Saga. So what was your involvement with that show?
I was a writer-producer on this show.
And are you a Wu-Tang fan?
I'm a Wu-Tang fan.
Nice.
Can you throw up the W for us, man? Yeah. Okay. So did you have to do research on the Wu-Tang Clan to do the writing for that show? How did that work?
Well, I sat next to RZA every day. So RZA is kind of all things Wu-Tang. So, we were fortunate enough to have virtually every member contribute his version of the story of the formation of the Wu-Tang Clan, and we spent a lot of time in Staten Island, and I know more about the Wu-Tang Clan than I ever thought I would. Proud of being on that show. So, great people, though. Great show. Had a lot of fun on this show.
That's awesome. So, Rodney, from the outside looking in, it looks like you're a huge comic book fan. Both Mike and I have run into you at Earth 2 Comics and Krusty Bunker here in LA. How did your love of comics begin?
My mother used to be a school teacher, and she used to take me to the public library to do her lesson plans, and this was in the early 70s. And the little area where they would keep kids was where they would keep the comic books, too. And so I think even before I could read, I was staring at comic books and trying to figure out what was happening, and they grabbed my attention at a really, really, really early age and just stayed with me throughout my life. And the funny thing is, when I was a kid, they were kind of kid-like. They were funny books. That's what my father used to call them. And then they evolved into this Frank Miller, Alan Moore, and Neil Gaiman literature type thing. And now they've sort of settled into an adult movie adjacent type world. But, as comics evolved, I sort of evolved with them, and they were a large part of my love of literature and reading and all of that.
So other than Killadelphia, of course, what comic books are you digging right now?
I like Far Sector. I like Something Is Killing the Children. I like Ice Cream Man. I like Deceased. I think Deceased is fun. I just read issue 5, I think, the other day. I like Justice League Dark, but mostly I'm a Swamp Thing fan, so it's what's left over from the Vertigo universe with Constantine and all of them. Mostly indie books more than anything else. The funny thing is, after you've been around like the mainstream big two for so long, it's hard to continuously recreate Batman and Superman if you've been reading them since childhood. To do something completely new. I'm sort of jaded by my, Jim Starlin when he did Superman back in the day, and I think it was DC Presents.
Yep.
And just different runs when George Perez was doing the art for Justice League, and John Byrne was doing Man of Steel, and it's like, once you go through that, it's hard to keep recreating it because my sensibilities is still, I guess it's Bronze Age comics. Still more so than anything else. That was the fun period for me. Now since they're like a job, it's work as much as it is fun. So,
growing up, did you identify more with DC or more with Marvel?
It wasn't really. It was weird. Neil Adams' art on covers sort of grabbed me as a kid, from that Green Lantern, Batman, like Brave and Bold, and all of those. And so really, I flowed to the art. Like I love Mike Grell on Legion of Superheroes, but I love Jim Starlin on Warlock, and Barry Windsor Smith on Conan, and then Frank Miller on Daredevil. And so it was like, regardless if it was Marvel or DC, I sort of went with creators more than anything else. If a book was really, really good, like a run was really good, it didn't matter. Like Alan Moore's Swamp Thing is still my favorite thing. My favorite comic of all time. That run and Miracle Man were my favorites. And so, during that period of time, especially when they were relatively inexpensive, I think 50 cents or 75 cents or whatever they were, you could buy enough of them that it wasn't so much like the Republicans or Democrats. It was, it was more of, I just bought everything. So it wasn't like a division between the two. But now, since books are like damn near $4 a book, I think.
$5, $7, $8.
You get into the variants, the special comic shop variants that are $20 or whatever. It's like you sort of do develop more of a I'm a DC guy or I'm a Marvel guy or whatever. But,
Mike's
back in the day, back in the day, it was just a free for all. Everything was great.
And now you're speaking my language. I'm more of a DC guy, and Chris is more of a Marvel guy. And I say it all the time. The reason why I'm a DC guy is because my first love was the animated series, Batman animated series, and the fact that things cost so much money. And so you have to invest in, if I'm going to invest in a publisher, I'm going to invest in this because I identify with it more.
Yeah, the hard part for me is, I talk to kids a lot, and I go back to Annapolis, Maryland, my hometown, and they're kids who've never read a comic book before, never actually seen a comic book before. And that's sad to me because they were so much a part of my upbringing. And, there are not a lot of, if you don't live near a comic shop and, they aren't in stores like they used to be, it would be tough. But, I think they had a lot to do with even that sort of a ethics, moral thing. There was something about the good guy and the bad guy that even as a little kid, I started to understand. I wanted to be Batman. I never wanted to be Joker. I've lived like the Joker sometimes, but I always wanted to be Batman.
Let's get into Killadelphia. Let's get into that. This noirish kind of vampire story. How did it start, man? What came?
I've had vampires on the brain since childhood. I was a big fan of the Hammer films. We used to have this creature feature thing on Saturday nights. They used to come on at 11 o'clock. And they would have like the Wolfman, or they'd have Hammer films or old monster movies, the Universal monsters. And I loved Bela Lugosi and vampires. And then my mother, when I was like 9 or 10 years old, took me to see Blackula. It was a double feature. It was Blackula and Scream, Blackula, Scream. And I was hooked from that point on to one day I'm going to write something about vampires. And then I saw Kolchak the Night Stalker, and then I read Salem's Lot, and then the Anne Rice Vampire Chronicles, and so many vampire things. And I never saw my culture prominently placed in a vampire story that was ongoing. I think, I'd seen some good stories from time to time, but I wanted to try to take my crack at doing the story my way. And that was the beginning embers of how Killadelphia came to be.
I gotta say this, Rodney, I want to thank you in advance because you're giving us an excuse to put Blackula on the screen.
If you were to be at my house right now and you went downstairs, you would see the Blackula subway poster.
Oh, wow.
That I paid entirely too much money for. One of the reasons they should never have given me a little bit of money is I'm going to buy a big Blackula poster. But, rumor has it, there's a rumor, that there's going to be an announcement about Blackula soon. That's all I can say.
Okay. And you're attached? You're attached?
I can't say anything else. All I can say is that there's going to be some semblance of Blackula. Something about Blackula is going to happen in the world.
That's amazing.
A really strong feeling that's going to happen.
You're working with a fantastic artist, Jason Sean Alexander, in this. He was recently just finished a stint on Spawn. Mm-hmm. How did that come about, and why is Jason's artwork perfect for Killadelphia?
Jason and I fight every day. I think we're in a good point right now, even though he asked me to hurry up on something. I hate to hurry up on things. But I interviewed Jason for an art book about 5 years ago, and we just stayed friends, and we started going to dinner like once a month together. And we used to pitch each other ideas, and Jason hated my ideas and I hated his. And then one day I pitched him Killadelphia, but he was drinking at the time. So he said he liked it, and I didn't know whether it was he really liked it or he had been drinking. And he said, he called me the next day and he said, that Killadelphia thing you were talking about, have you written anything down? I said, no, not yet. And he said, write down something. I think that's one we could do together. And as I was sending him pitch pages, he was sending me art. And I was already a huge fan of his work anyway. He has an atmospheric feel to everything that he does. And even his Spawn was more of a horror type book than anything else. And if you ever break into his house, you'll see lots of horror themed sad people. Everybody's like really, really sad. And so I said, all right, this is something that the two of us could really do some good work together. And I actually try to write to what I love about his art.
So I think you answered it earlier, but can you let the audience know your book is in fact a ongoing and not a limited series?
It's an ongoing book. We do it in 6 issue arcs. So the first arc was 6 issues. The second one will be 6, and so on and so on and so on. And so yeah, it's an ongoing.
There's definitely rumors behind your book already. Speculation. We wanted to know if there's any news that you'd like to share with us about where Killadelphia may be seen next.
That's a good question. I will be finished writing the outline for the pilot, Lord willing, by Sunday.
Wow.
I have to turn it into the rest of the producing team and see what they say. And hopefully I will be finished writing the pilot by first week of December. So we'll see where it goes from there. I mean, I think it's so much, it's a lot of different stuff happening at the same time.
We've been hearing, like, I would say for the last couple months, there's been kind of rumors swirling around about Killadelphia beyond the pages. So I'm really excited about it. I haven't heard anything negative about Killadelphia. You know how comic book fans can be.
Well, I learned it was a sad story. It's become funny over time. But when I first did Falcon for Marvel, I had no idea. His first comic book, all I see are the mistakes when I look at it now. But Twitter killed me the first weekend after the 3rd book. It takes 3 books, I've come to find, when they tell you what they think. And it's immediate. And there was this one brother was killing me the whole weekend. I was in the movies and my phone kept dinging, and it was Twitter. And it was this dude talking about how much he hated this book.
Wow.
And how much he hated me too. And so to what you're saying, with Killadelphia, I've had 1 or 2 dudes either say it's just not for me. One guy who I think may have been an ex, or like the brother of one of my exes or something, wrote about how bad he hated it, but it didn't feel real. It was overkill. It was like he didn't give any specifics, just how much he hated the book. But by and large, people seem to enjoy it.
We like to call ourselves like the Sig Slayers, man. We're one of the premier signature people in the world, I think. And if you can see this right here.
There we go.
We got Killadelphia and
Matina, yeah,
the Matina, and then you got the standard here.
Yeah.
Yep, double sign.
I actually have, as a gift, Jason doesn't give me many gifts, but he gave me the penciled art for that cover for issue 1.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Is there anything else, coming down the pipeline you'd like to let the fans know about?
Well, as far as comics are concerned, I write a book, Incredible, for Lionforge, and I'm going to write the 3rd softcover for them. They're not doing floppies anymore. That should be coming in 2021. I've got a spinoff of Killadelphia coming, Jason and I, early next year. I'm looking at my board. That's what I'm looking at. We've got another mini-series we're doing for Image in 2021.
You and Jason?
Yeah, we've got 3 books, 3.5 if you count Lyceum Gardens, the werewolf story in the back of Killadelphia in 2021. I may be doing 2 books with Marvel next year. And then I'm starting my own publishing company.
Oh, shoot.
Where I'll be doing mostly horror, mystery, and supernatural books quarterly.
Man, that sounds like a very active and blessed 2021. I love it.
Lord willing, after 2020.
Right?
2021's got to be better.
Okay, so we're going to end with this. We did our research and stuff, and it's saying that you recently signed a deal with HBO. Is that true?
Yeah, I've got an overall deal for 2 years at HBO.
And it mentions something that you're involved with the project, talking about the Lakers, featuring the Lakers, LA Lakers.
Yeah, it's about the Lakers. It's a scripted series, a scripted drama about the Lakers, starring John C. Reilly and a bunch of other cool folks. And it's about that period where Dr. Buss drafts Magic Johnson. It starts there and chronicles the Lakers' history from that point forward. But
Like even the Kobe Shaq era, that whole era too, or just
we
the
won't
80s?
get there. The first 2 seasons will be that Kareem, Magic, the Celtics, Larry Bird, Red Auerbach, that period of time, and then we'll see if we get to Kobe and Shaq. We'll see what happens, but it's produced by the great Adam McKay, Max Bornstein, myself. So we're really excited about it.
So you're covering actually we like to think the quintessential Lakers, you know, the Lakers that put LA on the map.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just about the basketball team, but it was also how media changed, because I'm old enough to remember when the championship was tape delayed. You had to stay up until 11:30 to watch it because they wouldn't show it live because the ratings were so bad. And so we went from that to cable TV, and to where now every game is on, like every game is on TV right now on some place. So between the Lakers and the Tiger Woods miniseries, I'm pretty busy.
Obviously, you're out here in LA. We cross paths and stuff. So does that mean you're a Laker fan, or you just happen to, is it just a job?
Well, that's a good question. During that period of time, I was a 76er fan because I was a Dr. J fan. And Dr. J and Muhammad Ali is still my favorite athletes of all time. I greatly respect the Lakers, but because of free agency, it's hard for me to really embrace a team in the same way I used to when I was a kid, because players move around so much. And the team you love right now, like, could be, if you're a Kevin Durant fan, you're a Kevin Durant fan. You're not necessarily an Oklahoma City Thunder fan or a Golden State Warrior fan, because he moves from here to Brooklyn. And so you're a fan of his. You're not so much a fan of those teams unless he's playing for those teams. So it's a long-winded answer to say I appreciate the Lakers. I wouldn't say we'll see. I'm glad they won the title. I like good basketball. I think that's the thing more than anything else. And as long as it's good quality basketball, I'm a fan.
I like that answer. And just to piggyback off that, Rodney, the NBA stands for Nomadic Basketball Association.
There you go. There you go. Who knows where anybody's going to be. And it, I used to get upset about it because, my team, you lose my guy. Now it's a thing about, just good quality. As long as when we get in the playoffs, it's really competitive. And this year in the bubble, I think even under the circumstances, they were able to give us some really quality basketball. So as long as it stays that, I'm good.
Can we make some noise for Rodney, please, Chris? Come on.
There we go.
Well, that's all for our show. If you like what you see, please subscribe and hit that like button. I want to give a big thank you to Rodney Barnes. Pick up Killadelphia. We're the Stats Bros. I'm Mike, speaking for Chris. We're out. Peace!